one. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. JD, we were entering the fourth quarter, and I was saying to the guys here at the studio, this is not unfolding in the way the Niners wanted or expected or needed this game to. Kyle Shanahan then after the game admitted this kind of went exactly the way that we thought. They'd prepared to play this game without Ricky Pearsall, and you saw that early on with the feeding of Demarcus Robinson, also Christian McCaffrey, a couple of huge plays in the pass game, as well as Juwan Jennings. It's taken a village all year, and the Niners, again, get it done offensively and get some stops on defense, JD.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible win when you look at the way they had to do it. They go down early, and they do exactly what we talked about in pregame immediately. They go down and they score a touchdown. They hit the big ball 61 yards to Robinson, set the tone, you would think, for what the whole game was. But it was a game that really, and Guy Haberman was talking about it, lacked momentum. Either way, it felt like, for the most part, throughout the entirety of the game. But, yeah, just enough on defense when they needed it. I thought the Niners did get the game that they needed to get from the Eagles as their opponent offensively. I mean, they just couldn't get into any semblance of rhythm at all. Give the 49ers credit, their defense credit for a lot of that. But for them to win the game, jump out the way that they did, be able to not allow Philly to completely, get their offense rolling and get in rhythm, but then to, kind of take control of the game, use a trick play in the perfect moment for a trick play at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And it just felt throughout the middle of the game as if the Eagles had many opportunities to go up 2 scores, to kind of put the game away, and they never did. And you could feel it inside Lincoln Financial Field that the crowd almost knew that the Niners were one play away from taking a lead or taking control. And then the 49ers with the trick play and the Juwan Jennings touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey did exactly that. And at that point, I'm thinking the Niners are winning the game, Copes. I really am. I'm thinking they are going to win the game. You could just kind of feel it. But then you got to give Brock Purdy a ton of credit for, after the second interception, being able to just lead the 49ers right back down the field, because they gave the Eagles life in a moment where they had none. And then they just kind of nonchalantly went right back down and took the lead right back. And then the defense, so apropos to have Kendricks be the guy, one of the linebackers that comes up with the PBU on the play that sends him to Seattle. Just an unbelievable, gritty, grimy, gutsy, just a phenomenal win. And we've seen the 49ers in the playoffs, different iterations of this team under Kyle Shanahan, be able to do it. So I think it's truly a mark of the type of coach that he is, and his staff, and really just all of these players, the dog that all these guys have to be able to fight and win a game in that kind of environment.
Well, I had said this on Dirty Work earlier this season, getting towards the end of the year, because I think a lot of people viewed what the 49ers had done as impressive, although they'd missed a lot of players. But a lot of people weren't saying, I don't think they were validated by the league. And even though Brock Purdy had been playing well since he'd returned, and they'd won every game in the time that he'd returned, starting in Week 11 after their loss to the Rams and Mac Jones, where they just did not have the firepower and couldn't get a stop. We talked about how much the offense needed to step up and carry this unit. And so I don't think they were minted by people until even that win against Indianapolis in Indianapolis felt, I don't want to say hollow, but it felt a little bit off, only because they had Phillip Rivers. They had clearly been in a skid. They were the second team ever to start 8-2 and then missed the playoffs, right? So that felt like maybe not as much juice there as initially anticipated. Then they win the exciting game against the Chicago Bears, and then nationally you start to get the nod and say, okay, this is a team maybe capable of going toe-to-toe with the likes of the Rams and Seattle, who we'd seen earlier in that same Week 17 on Thursday Night Football. And then you roll into Week 18 and you go, okay, maybe they don't have the horses. Maybe they don't have the dogs defensively. And now what becomes interesting, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, all week long, is how far away is Fred Warner? There were reports about a week ago from Matt Barrows saying that Fred Warner had told teammates if they got to the divisional round, there might be a chance he could go. Now, a lot of the initial reports were maybe NFC Championship, later postseason, but when you get to this round and you're facing Seattle, who knows what's on the table at this point. But the fact that they have found ways all season long to win, for me, that was the more validating. The reason I validated them, I think, more than other people did who didn't watch them all season, JD, was there are different ways that you can gain validation in the NFL. And, yeah, it's beating great teams. It's finding ways to win in different ways. It's winning without your best players. But the Niners consistently, week to week, we said it every week almost on the pregame show, was that it felt like it was a new season every week. Like we didn't have a grasp of the identity of this team at any point. At one point, I kind of had to accept that is the identity of this team. This team, when their back's up against it in tough situations, have found ways to win and take advantage of opportunities that the opposition gave them. Today, Philadelphia did nothing in the second half to take advantage of anything that the 49ers had given them. After 2 interceptions by Quinyon Mitchell, who didn't have a pick all season long, they come back and they go with a 4-play negative 4-yard situation, and they punt it back to the 49ers. They put together a couple of 3-and-outs. They faced a 3rd and 13, a 3rd and 11, a 3rd and 13 in their first 4 drives of the second half. They couldn't move the ball. They went away from being successful with the run, 95 on the ground in the first half, 56 on 17 carries in the second half. When the Niners have had to buckle down this year, to your point about the coaching, they have found ways to win. And so while they haven't faced opponents at the level of Philadelphia all season long, the 49ers have now beat every team remaining in the NFC at some point this year. Bears, Seahawks, and Los Angeles Rams. The only team they didn't get to beat this year that was in the NFC playoffs were the Green Bay Packers.
Well, and you took the words right out of my mouth, because it's not as if this team, when you talk about validation, doesn't have quality wins. And we can run through all of them. They do. They do. And I think maybe the one, different point would be, hey, they got those wins when they were closer to whole, the 2 at the beginning with Seattle and the Rams, but they went and won that game with Mac Jones as a quarterback against the Rams.
No Nick Bosa in that game.
Nick Bosa, and
Ricky
after
Pearsall.
Nick Bosa had gone down as well. So the reality is they just roll in with what they've got, and they give themselves a chance. And I think that's just the best way to put it. And, this was not the prettiest of Brock Purdy games, but Brock Purdy showed, and he really has throughout his entire career, he has the ability to bounce back from bad games to play great games. He has the ability to bounce back from bad throws to lead big-time great drives. And to me, that was the most impressive thing about Brock Purdy's entire game. Yeah, 2 picks, but in a moment where he could have folded after the second pick and the Eagles go down and take the lead and the joint's going crazy thinking that the Eagles are going to escape, he leads them right down the field, not for a field goal to go up 1 to where they would have got beat at the gun. You go get a field goal in that situation if you're the Niners, you lose this game at the gun because the Eagles are kicking a field goal with no time left on the clock. They had to get a touchdown to win the game on that final drive. They got the touchdown on that final drive in the midst of just fury, and it's just tremendous. Like that shows the backbone, the poise, just everything that Brock Purdy has, the intangibles, in addition to being a damn good quarterback.
49ers get a win in Philadelphia, a huge win over the Eagles as they await a date with the Seattle Seahawks. The rumors and reports and the JD Analytics he was talking about before the game suggest that game would be Saturday night at 5 o'clock. We will probably get that notification, I would guess, at some point this evening, maybe halftime or end of this game tonight.
Yeah, if you go back to last week, they did it at halftime of the Sunday night game. So stay tuned. That would be before we're off the air. We are here, so that would be good if we get that. We'll obviously pass that along. I know the 49ers, and I'm sure it's been said, are hoping that game's going to be Sunday. It would make too much sense to put the Bears-Rams on Saturday because they just played on Saturday, but it doesn't always work that way with the way the league divvies up the games, and the networks basically have a draft as to which game they want to go and which place. And certain weeks, certain networks get the first pick, and there's backroom deals made and all that. So way above the simplicity of the JD Lytics scopes, but there's a lot that goes into it. And so we'll figure it out and find out here, hopefully, in the next hour.
808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 is the number to call and the number to text. We got to hear from the faithful. How were you feeling throughout this game? The 49ers having lost players all season long and bounced back, not just in the moment, but also in the games to follow. A team that hasn't lost back-to-back games all season long and has been able to get hot and put together streaks really at any point in a game. They stepped through and the opportunities came for them, and the doors were open for them in the second half of this game. And I'm not sure they respond in the same way after the Kittle injury if they hadn't had to do so all season long. I think that really is one of the things that has calloused this team the most and given them a different level of mettle that some of these other teams have in the postseason based on the adversity they've faced. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 is the number to call and to text. Do you welcome the matchup with the Seattle Seahawks? And how you feeling about the way this one went down in a big Juwan Jennings touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey? Brock getting it done at the end. The Niners score 13 in the fourth. More to come. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. The Niners are moving on to the divisional round on the Sports Leader.
Second down and goal. McCaffrey deep behind Purdy, who's under center. 2 tight ends in the game. Jennings in motion. Purdy fakes, throws over the middle, and it's caught by DeMarcus Robinson. A quick touchdown. Touchdown! 49ers to start the game here in Philly.
DeMarcus Robinson, a huge play. Second play of the game goes for 61 yards for a team that has struggled heavily with yards after the catch this year, and specifically last week against Seattle. That was a huge play to get the Niners on the board early, set them up in scoring range. We'll make DeMarcus Robinson our difference maker of the game. The difference maker of the game is, of course, sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today or at benjaminmoore.com. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. The Niners win at 23-19 over the Eagles in Philadelphia to move on to the divisional round. They'll play Seattle at some point next weekend. Now, you said it makes way too much sense for to have the Bears and the Rams in that slot. 925 checks in and says, Chicago, L.A. market. It's a big market. Network wants Sunday night game on that. It's not just always as simple as it goes. I mean, a lot of people assumed last week, a lot of Niner fans assumed it was going to be Niners and Seahawks Sunday. And I think behind the scenes, we all sort of quietly thought it was going to be the game that it was, Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
No question. And just so everybody, we don't need to bore everybody with it,
yeah.
but my understanding is the 4 slots for next weekend. You have the 2 Saturday slots, which are exactly like the ones yesterday,
yeah.
1:30 Pacific, 5 o'clock Pacific. The 2 Sunday slots next week are noon Pacific and 3:30 Pacific. So they kick it a little bit later. They do it like they do the AFC and NFC Championship weekend where the games are at noon and 3:30. So the Sunday games are on a little bit of that altered schedule. So that game could be I would guess that the Rams-Bears game with those 2 markets, when it as much as it would make sense to be Saturday, I could actually see that game being the Sunday, maybe the Sunday 3:40 game, Pacific time. So we'll see. Again, when we get news on it, we'll keep everybody posted on it. But yeah, the Sunday slots are different next weekend and the championship weekend than they were today.
808 KNBR 415-808-5627 is the number to call. Want to hear from the faithful after the Niners get a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. They're moving on to Seattle to the divisional round. Kyle Shanahan now 3-0, by the way, in the divisional round in his time as a head coach. Let's go out to John. John's in South San Francisco. John, what's going on, man? You're on the Sports Leader.
What is shaking, Copeland and Dickinson? What's going on?
What up, John? How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling great, man. After a great win by the 49ers defense, they came up big. Game ball, by the way, goes to Robert Saleh for making adjustments in the second half, by the way. Game ball goes to him, and another game ball goes to Eric Kendricks, who came up big today. That was huge, Cobes and Dickinson.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. I appreciate the call, man. The linebacking core, JD, your evaluation of how they played, because I did think Kendricks, his communication was key today. I mean, he's a vet. If you don't have your top guys out there, having somebody who understands where he needs to be and to direct traffic is almost the next best thing. I actually thought Garrett Wallow played pretty well in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter as well. The Niners did a really good job of wrapping up today. They finished tackles and did not allow a lot of extra yardage. They were jumping routes. Upton Stout, I thought, had a good game in the secondary, especially in the second half on third down. The Eagles were 3 of 7 on third down in the first half, just 2 of 9 in the second half. Your thoughts on the linebacking core and the props that our guy John was given?
Yeah, I thought they held – the tackling to me was the number one thing, just up and down. They were a much better tackling team than we've seen them be in recent weeks. I think you make a great point as it relates to the communication. And they brought Michael Kendricks in for a reason. I mean, they brought him in because they believed they could get him up to speed in the system, and he could provide a little bit of stability in terms of the communication and be a kind of a settling influence for everyone. And so really appropriate for him to be the guy that breaks up that final pass there that clinches the game. So, no, I thought they played well. It was more bend but don't break. It was a little worrisome on that first series where the Eagles go right down and Saquon Barkley breaks off a big run. But they won a lot of the big moments. They force the turnover. Upton Stout with a PBU that could have been an interception in the early going there. Okawanu had a big stop on that second series where Philly turned it over on down. So it was looking a little concerning early. Again, the Eagles scored 2 of the first 3 possessions. They got touchdowns in the first half. They hit a couple of fourth downs. They had that long 94-yard drive. But after that, it's punt, punt. They end up holding them to a field goal, punt, and then they get the field goal to go up 19-17, but that was after the Brock Purdy second interception, which basically gave them life. Point I'm getting at, Copes, is after those first 3 possessions, the 49er defense really frustrated the Eagles for the rest of the afternoon and stymied them to a point where they had no momentum, and the crowd was getting annoyed with some of the play calling. The crowd was getting annoyed with some of the penalties, and I think you give the Niner defense credit for competing, I think, as the game went on. When they could have let go of the rope, honestly, and because it looked like it had the potential to get a little bit ugly. The Niners didn't let it get ugly. They put the Eagles back in that mode that the Eagles had been in throughout so much of this season for them, where they just could not get in any rhythm, and it was a big part of the reason why the Niners were able to win this game, because they didn't have to get to 30, Copes. It was the first team basically to 20 that got the job done, and that was the Niners in this one.
808 KNBR is the number to call into text. Let's go to Rick in Hayward. What's up, Rick? I know if I know anything about Rick likes his numbers. I do too, and they kind of tell the story and kind of paint a picture. Rick, the numbers don't tell you anything about how the Niners won this one. How you doing, bro? Good to talk to you.
I totally agree, Adam. I don't know how they by looking at the numbers, I have no idea how the 49ers won this game. I mean, yeah, they had 119 more yards passing, but Purdy didn't have his best game. The interceptions didn't actually hurt. 3 points off interceptions, but we only got 75 yards rushing. Yeah. How the heck did we win this game? We gave up 140 yards rushing, and we got 75. I mean, the trick plays, the penalties by Philadelphia, untimely penalties too. And, I have to give it up to Robert Saleh. I mean, I don't know how they're doing it with duct tape and, and glue, basically, keeping these guys together. And I feel so bad, just so bad for our tight end. That was such a terrible, terrible injury. And now, I don't know if you said it, but I agree. I think he might be out for next year too.
Yeah, it's
that might be a career ender.
I don't want to go that far. And if I know anything about George Kittle, I mean, he's a guy who's going to do everything he can to fight back. Rick, I appreciate the call. We got to run, but Rick's right. I mean, the numbers don't tell the story in this one whatsoever. Such a bummer about George Kittle, but you got to give props to the team for stepping up and doing what they did. And they won games all year without George Kittle. I mean, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, a lot of those games they didn't have him there as he was nursing the hamstring injury and then missed a couple of weeks ago as well. 808 KNBR is the number to call and to text. One more here before. Actually, let's take a quick break. I see you guys waiting on the line. Mike, I see Nick and the kids are waiting. Simon calling from Sydney, Australia. And we've got Jonathan hanging on the line as well. We will get to your calls when we come on back, and then we'll catch up with Todd Husack around the top of the hour. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, the number to call and the number to text. The 49ers get a win in Philadelphia. Brock Purdy's first road playoff win in his career, and they've got a date in the divisional round with the Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk more about it next and get to more of your calls, only here on the Sports Leader.
this team has carried the character of George Kittle throughout the entire year. And since I got traded here, he's the heart and soul of this team. And so it's a tough loss, man. When he's not playing, it means a lot. But he's somebody that, even going through something that he had to go through and us finding a way to finish, he's the first guy in the locker room smiling, bumping music, happy for his teammates. And when you lose a leader like that, you never really lose him because his presence is still in this locker room. His energy is still here. And he's the leader and heart and soul of this team, and so we're praying for him, love him, and we're going to play for him the rest of the way.
Voice of 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns for him receiving today. I mean, for a guy who averaged, I heard Guy Haberman say it, for a guy who averaged like 3.2 or 3.6 yards a carry or whatever it was this year on the ground, 3.6, 3.7, he had an amazing season finding the end zone for the 49ers and was their superstar, their MVP, and they're nowhere near the situation they're in right now without McCaffrey. That was one of my sort of thoughts coming into this game. Derek was saying on Friday he thought that we're going to have to run the ball effectively, and I thought so too. They didn't run the ball well at all, but I said as long as you get McCaffrey involved, you got to feel good about how things are going. Here to talk about it, it's our guy Todd Husack, longtime quarterback, played for Stanford and, of course, for Washington in the NFL. Todd, we were texting throughout the game. Hell of a win. The numbers don't tell the story. This was as gritty and as gutsy of a victory as you could have asked for from the squad.
Well, I think what shows up is this game really was a capsule for the whole season. Like, mistakes, they got outrushed big time. They had more turnovers. Time of possession, they lost by 10 minutes, but they found a way. And that's what, by the way, they also lose one of their best players early in the game before halftime for the season or for the rest of the playoffs and potentially in the next season. Like, it wasn't a sprained ankle. I mean, he is down for the foreseeable future, yet they find a way in the second half to get guys involved and make plays. And we talked about it pregame. You'd love to see a receiver step up, and Demarcus Robinson becomes that guy, a guy that I think watching him in the preseason, you expected more of him.
Oh, that's what we thought all year. Me, you, and JD sat together in the preseason thinking, man, this guy's going to be a weapon, and we saw very little of him after the suspension.
And to come in and make a big play on the opening drive and score a touchdown, and then just Brock Purdy overcoming mistakes like we've seen him do all season, like the Bears game, throws a pick 6 on the first play. Just this game showed what this team is made of, and I give JD credit. Back in the beginning of the season, he talked about, hey, this team is built differently than last year. The whole vibe around this team is better and positive and different, and without that, there's no way they overcome the mistakes and the injuries, and not just today, but all season, and they find a way to come through. And by the way, great coaching, having guys fill in that worked with the team a month ago and step up and play at a high level. And that last Christian McCaffrey touchdown, I've never seen that route before, where he comes from the right side to the left, fakes a flat route. I mean, that was an extended route too. It wasn't a quick Texas where they fake and then come over the middle right away. It was an extended flat route where he turns it back inside, and Brock Purdy finds a way inside the pocket, buy some time, and throw a touchdown. I mean, it was top to bottom. That was, as you said it, I think gutty, and just the perseverance and defense stepping up and making plays when they need to, and a Philly team that imploded. A.J. Brown throwing a temper tantrum before halftime and then dropping what could have been the game-winning play over the middle late in the game, missing a PAT, which they make that PAT, even with Piñeiro's miss, they got a chance to tie with a field goal at the end of the game. So little things that the 49ers, I know they missed one at the end, but little things that the 49ers do well. Philly killed themselves with penalties today. You felt like the Niners should have been down 3 touchdowns early in the game, but they were in it. And even at halftime, the mistake at the end, they were still in it. And just hang around and make enough big plays, find a way. Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey find a way. I mean, that catch from Juwan Jennings by Christian McCaffrey was as good of a catch you'll see any wide receiver make in the NFL. And on the opening drive, he makes that incredible catch over the middle in traffic. He jumps up, gets whacked by 3 guys, and comes down with it. You just can't say enough about how well he's played all season long. And when they needed him, he stepped up. So did Brock Purdy, and so did the defense.
I mean, they just keep taking punches, Todd, all year, and they don't flinch, honestly. Whether it's Nick Bosa going down, they go and beat the Rams in L.A. Brock Purdy's out. They win a bunch of games with the backup quarterback. I think it did affect them in Tampa in the second half. That's the only time I've really felt this team emotionally was hit was in Tampa when Warner went down, and hell, they still competed in that game, had the ball down 8 with about 4 minutes to go before ultimately Tampa got a stop and they lost the game. But other than that, they had been able to regroup and just keep fighting, whether it's in individual games or throughout the course of a season. You take an L, you wind up bouncing back and playing a better game. What did you think, Todd, of Juwan Jennings' quarterback skills in this one? Is that the Niners went way back in the playbook. Kyle Shanahan said post-game, Todd, a play they ran in 2019 against New Orleans. It was Emmanuel Sanders who hit Raheem Mostert in that 48-46 game in the Superdome back in that 2019 Super Bowl season. What'd you think of Jennings being able to the old high school quarterback, I believe, for JJ?
Yeah, it's one of those plays that who knows how many times they've practiced that throughout the season or since 2019. But to have the guts to call it and then to have the guys come in and execute it, and the timing. If Juwan Jennings pulls up earlier, the safety doesn't bite. Everything was perfect. He extended the play long enough to get that safety to come up and bite, and then throws. For most running backs in the NFL and maybe most receivers, they're probably not able to come down with that catch. That's a tough catch. Running full speed, ball's kind of coming over your head, and he doesn't extend his hand till the very last second. He runs through it, finishes through the ball, and makes the catch. I mean, it was perfection. It really was. And the timing and that's where Kyle Shanahan is so good. His feel for the game, when to do things, how to counteract defense that over pursues. And I'm sure he saw some stuff on film throughout the game or on the field throughout the game where, all right, I'm going to set something up and take advantage of it. And he called it at the perfect time, and the guys executed it. It's you don't see many plays like that in the NFL for a reason. It's hard to do. It's hard to practice. It's hard to execute. And man, did they do it at the right time? The game was kind of back and forth. And after that play, you just felt like, hey, they got a chance. I mean, they got a real chance to finish this game off. Even after the Brock Purdy interception to follow, like you just felt like the 49ers have what it takes to get it done. And you weren't always 100%, but they, even in the first half, when I thought the biggest tell in the first half is 49ers weren't able to run the ball, and the Philly offensive line was pushing around that front seven of the 49ers defense. It's like, whew, they can't control the line of scrimmage on either side. It's going to be a hard one. Yet they battle back and make adjustments, and the guys play just a little bit better and get it done. I mean, that's the bottom line. They found a way to get it done. But that play, I mean, if the 49ers can keep this thing rolling, that play could go down in 49ers history as one of the great ones.
Talking to Todd Husack here on the Yuma Guest Line. 49ers going to win 23-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles in Wild Card Weekend. I mean, the Niners did everything better on the ground in the second half. 95 yards on 20 carries for Philadelphia in the first half. Second half, they went 17 for 56. Third down, first half, Philly 3 of 7. Second half, they were 2 of 9. They had 11 first downs in the first half, only 8 in the second half. What did you see from the Niners defensively, Todd? Because I just kept thinking, how many stops are they going to be counting on the defense to get here, which is why we got to the fourth quarter, and I thought this is not unfolding the way the Niners wanted. These 19-17, 17-16, those types of games are the games that Philly's more comfortable in, and they've won like that ugly all year. The Niners found a way to get enough done offensively. What did you see from the defense, though? Because that's what allowed the Niners to stay in this game.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job playing downhill. Guys were playing in space, not giving up passes over the middle, and keep everything in front of you, and then sprint up and make the tackle. And I think they did a better job of just winning their one-on-one matchups up front. Like in the first half, they were getting pushed around. Second half, they weren't. You saw more unblocked defenders or guys shedding blocks and making the plays at the point of attack versus letting Saquon Barkley get 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. And so part of it was scheme. And again, a guy like Mustafa, that's what he does best. He plays downhill. He's a missile out there. And Upton Stout making big plays throughout the game. You just give guys confidence to keep it in front of you and then rush downhill and make the play. And that's what they did. And they frustrated Philly to the point where you could see it. Jalen Hurts wasn't feeling comfortable. I'm still shocked that the Eagles didn't rush Jalen Hurts more and try to get him more involved in the run game, because it sure looked early on that if they rushed the ball 50 times, I don't think the 49ers had an answer. And they did take some shots down the field and had chances, and A.J. Brown just unable to haul it in. So The defense, I liked that matchup on the outside. I did. I thought they could hang with the receivers down the field, and Devontae Smith is a tough matchup, but it just wasn't enough. The 49ers had answers, and a lot of it was just individual guys winning and not getting pushback and shedding blocks and making open field tackles, because that's oftentimes what it comes down to. We got 11, they got 11. Who can make the play when it's one-on-one, and the 49ers did more of that in the second half.
Todd Husack, the voice you hear, part of our pre- and post-game coverage on 49er football all season long. The Niners have a date with Seattle next week. Seattle played the Niners, a bye week, and then the Niners at home is what they'll get. And Todd will join us again next week on the pregame show. Todd, appreciate the time, and we got another week to do it, bro. We'll talk to you next week.
Love it. Love it. Can't wait.
Great stuff there from our guy, Todd Husack. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. We'll get into more of what happened. We want to hear more from the callers. We got Nick, Simon, Jonathan, Mark, Luis hanging on the line. We're going to get to all your calls and your thoughts as the Niners are moving on to divisional weekend after a 23-19 win, 13 fourth-quarter points for the Niners as they come on back and win it, trailing 13-10 at the half. Niners are moving on the Sports Leader.
Purdy takes the snap, four-man rush, gets it out quick, near side, caught George Kittle. Kittle's got a healthy first down gain, 7 yards. Out in front of the Philadelphia bench, Kittle is down on the ground, and the officials are stopping play. An injury timeout for George Kittle. He's laying on the near sideline, the Eagles sideline.
A devastating injury for the 49ers in their victory 23-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles. George Kittle goes down with an apparent Achilles injury. It was gnarly. You could see it on the broadcast, and Achilles seemingly would keep him out for most of, if not the entirety of next season. I know Aaron Rodgers got close to making a comeback last year, but I don't know really how close he was. He didn't actually make a comeback until the beginning of this season, or the following season after the Achilles injury. So we'll see what happens with George Kittle. Should also point out that Jair Brown suffered a hamstring injury in the game. He did not return, I don't believe, right? JD, it was just Marquise Siegel out there?
He did not. Marquise Siegel, I thought, played pretty well also in for Jair Brown. Eagles took a lot of shots over the top, and I thought, for the most part, the 49ers were able to hold up. But, yeah, Jair Brown did not return.
And that was your injury report.
Only 2 injuries, yeah.
Yeah, sponsored by Habas Law. They'll fight to make it right. Visit HabasLaw.com. Back out to the phone lines at 808 KNBR. Some people have been waiting for a while. We got to get into it here with the faithful. Nick and the kids in Modesto. Nick and the kids in the 209. What's up, guys? You're on the Sports Leader.
How's it going, Coach?
What's up, Nick?
Not much, man. Just want to talk about the Wild season and the Wild game. When the season first started and Bosa going down, Warner, Kittle being out, Purdy. I kind of told the kids, season's probably over. Maybe we can sneak into the playoffs and make it a year. But it's just, as a lifelong 49er fan, it's been a wild ride, and it's pretty exciting with no expectations going into the playoffs and to pull out a win in Philly. And not quite a redemption win because it's not an NFC Championship game from a couple years ago, but pretty exciting stuff.
Nick, what's funny, like with kids, when kids get emotional like that, because I was an emotional young sports fan, and I grew up, without the Giants having won a title. I don't remember the '94 Super Bowl, so I hadn't had any championships. And I remember saying to my mom a couple of different times, she's my big baseball fan, I was frustrated with the way the season started for the Giants, and she always said to me, like in spring training and on opening day, this team is not going to be the same team come the last day of the year. If there's teams that win or they find success because they figure out how to get it done with a variety of different people in a variety of ways. So I'm with you. I mean, a lot of people said pack it up when we found out Brock was out for a while and just let Mac go and get Brock healthy. And thank God they didn't, man. I mean, thank God they didn't mortgage anything else, because this has been one of the more fun and exciting 49er seasons based on the unknown that I can remember in recent history.
Yeah, it's almost like house money. You got nothing to lose with the defense we got, not much expectations, and pull out a playoff win and hopefully go into Seattle next week and get him back for that last regular season game. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, good deal, Nick. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you. Let's go out to, how about this one? Power of the Flamethrower, JD. A place I'll be in about a month. Sydney, Australia. Simon is in Sydney, Australia. What up, Simon? How you going, mate?
Coach, mate, I'm going fantastic. I mean, where do we even start with that one? Like, what a heart attack inducing, hole in the cart wearing win that was. Like, unbelievable. But first of all, do more, Philly fans. I mean, come on. All that did was add fuel to Salah and the boys, and you could just see it, like, just fire them up. So massive thanks to the Philly fans for that one. Got a question for you. Yeah. Is it too early to put that in the top 3 playoff wins for the franchise? I mean, I'm excluding the 5 Lombardis, obviously, but what do you think?
It would be tough for me, Simon, only because, like, by nature of it being a wild card weekend game, it's tougher for me to do that because of what's at stake. I mean, they're all win or go home, but the NFC Championship games, even like the divisional game 2011 with Alex Smith against the New Orleans Saints, there's a variety. I mean, Colin Kaepernick in the playoffs. You've got a lot in the Steve Young era and the Joe Montana era, some legendary games. Dwight Clark catch is probably
there's a bunch in this era.
One. There's a bunch in this era. The Purdy game against Seattle a few years ago, wild card weekend was a hell of a game. So the blocked punt in Green Bay. I don't know that I would have this top 5 right now, but this is certainly one of the more impressive wins considering the makeup of the team and how they got to this point. I would certainly say it's in a unique class of its own. Yeah.
For sure. Like, just the fact that they were just down 70 troops and then yet again a horrifying injury to bloody Kittle, and to come back against the reigning champions and to do it in their place, just unbelievable stuff.
Hey, Simon, where'd you watch? Because what's I mean, it was like 8 a.m. there, right, in Sydney?
It started at 8:30, so it's like 1:20 in the afternoon now, like the day after for you guys, so Monday.
Yeah.
I watched it at home in the living room, got the flags up, had one of my daughters, Emily, who came out wearing the white jersey.
Love it.
I knew, she's good, we're fired up, we're good to go. So yeah, just at home, pacing up and down, like just biting my nails, and then just screamed the street down once we won. I think everyone heard me.
Good deal, Simon. We'll appreciate the support from in Australia, and I'll see you guys over there in a couple of actually in like 5 weeks, dude. I'll be over there. So thanks for the call, Simon. Appreciate you, man. All right, dude. We'll take a quick break. Mark in San Lorenzo, I see you waiting. Luis in Visalia, Jonathan in San Jose. We got to take a quick break, but we want to hear from the faithful. Despite the loss of George Kittle, how you feeling about the Niners against Seattle? It's tough to beat a team back-to-back games. Seattle's been waiting. They're rested. Niners could be on a short week if, in fact, this game is scheduled on Saturday. More to come. We'll get to more of your calls and thoughts on the Niner win over the Eagles, only here on The Sports Leader.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we went to the Super Bowl, so we got to top that. Play with a lot of great players here. See the guys get hurt, that's definitely not fun. But to win, with a great group of guys who I love to enjoy time with on and off the field, that's what it's all about.
As the voice of Juwan Jennings, are we making him the player of the game? I think we will. Juwan Jennings, your player of the game today. Sponsored by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. Player of the game, I think, due in large part to that big touchdown pass that he threw. How about Kyle Shanahan after the game saying he almost threw it too perfectly? I said, I just wanted to get him out there, get it up there to McCaffrey. And McCaffrey, whose receiving numbers dwindled when George Kittle and Ricky Pearsall returned to the lineup, started to go away. They did run the ball a bit more effectively after Kittle came back. The Niners actually run the ball better today after Kittle exited the game. Couldn't move it really at all on the ground in the first half, but really it was all about McCaffrey in the pass game. I was pretty staunch on the idea that whoever won the line of scrimmage and the rushing attack today was going to win this game, it was far and away Philadelphia, but not so much in the second half. The Niners were able to do it effectively enough to keep the passing game open, and they started to go to the quick game after a couple interceptions by Brock. But really, for me, it was getting Christian McCaffrey involved, 6 catches on 8 targets, 66 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. Juwan Jennings, just the 1 catch for 45 yards. It was a big one. It was the play after Kittle went down, but he threw the 29-yard TD to Christian McCaffrey on that reverse where they had Brian Robinson out there, McCaffrey out there, and he tosses it to Jennings. Jennings rolls right, takes a big hit, and lands it in the end zone. A beautiful throw for a touchdown. Also, by the way, props to Kyle Juszczyk. The way they used him in the second half and the emergence of his play in the quick game when they weren't running it effectively, 4 catches on 4 targets, 49 yards, and every one of them seemed to be like a 6 or 8 yard or 10-yard chunk play.
And him and Tonjes are going to be guys that are going to have to step up in the absence of George Kittle. I think it's going to be by committee here moving forward as they try to figure out a way to get a win at Seattle. I thought the Jennings catch after the George Kittle injury was one of the biggest plays of the game because it just let everybody know that the 49ers were still in it in a moment in which they could have folded. But then you're running down some of those numbers, Copes. And, I mean, it really, when you look at the run game and the line of scrimmage and all those things, the turnovers, 49ers didn't win the turnover battle on the road, that you don't win the turnover battle 0-2, but you wind up finding a way to win the game. I mean, this truly is a special, special win for this team in this wild card.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Statistically, it makes very little sense. They got outrushed 140-75. They lost the turnover battle 2-0. And they lost time on possession by 10 minutes, and they lost George Kittle on their 4th drive of the game. And they won.
Incredible. And they won. And then you look up at the end of the night, and they actually had more first downs than the Eagles did, which is kind of incredible. They ended up with more total yards than the Eagles had for the game. It
was a bad second half for Philly.
It was a really bad second half for Philly, and the Niners just never broke in moments where they could have. And honestly, didn't look phased. They weren't necessarily playing well. They were early. They didn't play well defensively. Throughout the game at times, they didn't play well offensively. It wasn't Brock's best game, but they just were never they were never broken. They never cracked. Or if they cracked, they didn't break. So impressive stuff.
808 KNBR is the number to call. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Mark is in San Lorenzo. Wants to talk about this Niner win over the Eagles. Mark, you're on the Sports Theater. What's up, bro?
Hey, guys. Good to hear you after the game.
You too, Mark.
It was totally exciting. I mean, you couldn't want a better game than that. Playing on the road, I have to be very honest with you. After last week's game, I didn't hold much hope for the 49ers. 3 games in 13 days, I believe it was. Yeah. They were gassed. At least they got a good rest. They got about 7 days of rest before they went to Philadelphia. But I want to remind you guys, I listened to you guys on the pregame. And Larry was fired up.
Larry called a lot of what happened, Mark. He said he wanted CMC. He had to go big. And he also said Kyle had to get in his bag today. Remember, that was a specific Larry call. He said he's got to drop some trick plays. They got to be aggressive. They've got to do things they don't normally do. And that was one we hadn't seen, man. Kyle said they had that play in the playbook. They run it at practice. They've had it for years, and they've used it before. But you're absolutely right, Mark. Props to Krug.
A fantastic play. Now, remember when Kruger was talking to you guys, you said he started out slow where he had doubts, and by the end of the conversation, he was fired up. He was ready to run on the field himself because he thought the Niners were going to take him. Now, I'm listening to my play-by-play man. Give me his name on the radio.
Guy Haberman.
Who's my man?
Guy today. Guy Haberman.
No, okay, Guy's the main guy. But
Tim
you
Ryan?
got Ryan. Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan was calling Siegel's number the whole second half. The man was laying the wood. He came in for the other guy, but he was stopping the run in the second half. I have to be honest. I didn't start watching the game till the middle of the third quarter, and I saw it. The Niners were down at that time by 3 points, but the way they were playing, you could see the gas was running out on the Eagles line, and the Niners were coming on strong. And then the offense, they scored 2 touchdowns when I was watching it. The trick play of the game, if I remember correctly, that was a toss to Sky Moore. Then Sky tossed it to third down Juwan, and then Juwan threw that dying quail that McCaffrey caught off over his left shoulder. He barely got his fingers on it. He almost didn't catch that ball. It was amazing and just totally exciting, man.
Hey, Mark, they turned it on when you started watching, man. We need you watching from the jump this week, all right? No more turning on mid-third.
I'll do that.
All right,
we're going to need that in Seattle.
We're going to need it, brother. Appreciate the call, Mark. Thanks so much, man. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 is the number to call and the number to text. One more quick one here, and we'll get back to the phone lines after the break. Let's go to Jonathan in San Jose. Wants to celebrate a bit on this Niner victory. Jonathan, you're on the Sports Leader. What's up?
What's going on, guys? Good evening. Sorry, real quick, as I am at work. Oh, my God. Let's go, Niner fans. They told us all season long we couldn't be excited. After the first game, they said, hey, that's luck. No, and every game put poot on us. And Max the Truck Jones came in and got it done for us. And they said, well, easy schedule. And it just felt like all season long, when are we allowed to appreciate what we overcame? And I understand from the past and the history getting to the final dance, but I think people actually take that for granted and how hard it is to get to that final dance. And that's why people give Kyle so much poop in the offseason. But you have to give this man his flowers. What a game. What a magician. Like, anybody betting wouldn't have bet on the Niners today. Let's be honest. I know Niner fans out there probably bet against this team today because that would probably statistically make sense. This is magic. Let's run with it. This is what those seasons that they have those documentaries about. They're going to talk about the 2025, 26 49ers, and hopefully we get to that final dance and we're holding that trophy up. Be excited, Niner fans. There isn't another time to be more excited. And if anyone tells you different, it's because they're jealous. So let's go, boys.
Appreciate the call, Jonathan. Have a good shift at work, man. I like the win there, man. I don't know about Niner fans betting against the Niners, but I know the sports world didn't think the Niners were going to win this game. Everybody on the Fox pregame show picked the Eagles except for Terry Bradshaw. I was looking for that 4 for 4, 5 for 5. Everybody picking the Eagles. Terry picked the Niners. I'll tell you what, I said it to you before the game, JD. I was not as worried about this game coming in as a lot of other people were when the Niners lost last week. I didn't think the offense would be stymied 2 weeks in a row, and they did struggle running the ball, but it's something they've struggled with all year long. I did think that the defense could get a couple of stops against this offense. I thought it was unlikely that we'd see something offensively from the Eagles that we didn't really see all year long. And again, they failed to get to 20 points. It's something they struggled with all year. They weren't good on third down, something they struggled with. More 3-and-outs than any team in football. That was a problem for them. And the Niners did what they do well. And they didn't, outside of the 2 turnovers, which they were able to fend off in terms of just 3 points in response to those turnovers, they didn't do anything really to beat themselves, with the exception of those interceptions where Brock got picked up. One penalty that also led to 3 points. It was on Bernardo Green. It was or actually it was Marquise Siegel, I believe. The roughing on the first down picked up on the ground by Jalen Hurts. But all in all, man, they didn't play great, but they stayed alive long enough to make something happen late, and you got to draw it up or give it up to Kyle Shanahan for what they were able to do late in the game.
It's just find a way. And we've seen the 49ers do it. I was having a conversation via text as I was waiting for Kyle Shanahan to come into the press conference room and for the locker room to open up before I came back to do the show with you. And it was just kind of looking back at all the big wins in some regular season, but some playoff. I mean, the win in Dallas, right? That Cowboys team, not this Eagles team. They weren't a defending champion and the like. You mentioned the block punt. Those games stand out. And just numerous games throughout the regular season in a lot of different environments where the Niners don't play their best, but they find ways to get the job done. I mean, even going all the way back to 2019 and the New Orleans game, the Seattle game where Dre Greenlaw stops the Seahawks on the 1-inch line to get the 1 seed. There have been so many games. The comeback against Detroit even at Levi's in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago. Kyle Shanahan teams do have an identity of being the kind of teams that can win. I know because they haven't won the Super Bowl, sometimes I think it gets glossed over how many massive wins the 49ers have come up with. I mean, they've won 2 playoff games every time they've made the playoffs under Kyle Shanahan. That is impressive as hell, and you don't do that if it's not in your DNA to figure out ways to do it with the offense if the defense doesn't have it, if the defense if the offense doesn't have it, and just scrap. At some point, you throw all the nonsense about how it looks away, and you just scrap. And tonight was a scrap for the Niners.
Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627, the number to call and to text. The Niners going to win 23-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles. We await the scheduling for next week's game against Seattle. There's a lot of speculation based on the timing of when those games are that it could be the 5 o'clock slot on Saturday night. The Sunday night game tied 3-3. The Patriots and the Chargers just went to halftime. We'll see if they announce that schedule here during the halftime show. More of your calls, AJ, Joe, Matt, Edgar, Chad. I see you guys waiting. We'll get to it next, only here on The Sports Leader.
Yeah, it was not an easy task, and obviously it's the NFL, so it never is. But for us to come in here and just do whatever it takes, man. Obviously, wish you could play a little bit better in certain areas and in certain situations, but at the end of the day, it's a fourth quarter game, and you got to go score for the season and for your team, and then obviously for the defense to go down and get a stop like that, man, was huge. So it's a team effort, it really is. And it's just cool for everybody across the board to be able to have this kind of win and celebrate together with all the stuff that we've been through. And obviously we're excited for next week too.
Voice of Brock Purdy, 2 interceptions today, but the Niners survived them as they get a win 23-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles. I said to you before the game, JD, I thought 24 to 27 points is the window they had to be in. That might be all it took, and sure enough, it was. Philadelphia struggled to score this year. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Let's go to Chad. Our guy Chad is in Philadelphia. He's leaving Lincoln Financial Field. Chad, what's going on, man? I'm glad you made it out, dude. You're on The Sports Leader. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. That was a crazy night. That was awesome, though.
So how was the game? What was the crowd like? And at one point, it did sort of seem like you could hear it on the broadcast, and Guy Haberman and Tim acknowledged it on the radio call that once Juwan Jennings threw that touchdown and everything sort of settled down, they just started booing. They turned on the team.
Yeah, I mean, it was raucous from the get-go. That's a great environment. It was loud. They were confident. But, yeah, once that Juwan Jennings, the CMC touchdown happened, it was just such a different vibe. It felt like they knew that the game was over, even though it was a one-point game. People were leaving at the 2-minute warning when it seemed like it was just a completely different vibe. Leaving the stadium, no one was getting on me. No one was saying bad things about the Niners. They were getting on their own guys. So I mean, I think they've lost the fans in Philly.
Well, that's what I've said. I've said for a long time, Chad. Philly fans are the meanest fans for sure, but they're the worst in my mind because I don't even think they like their own team, dude. Chad, appreciate the call, man. Make it back safe, dude. We got another big one this week.
Yep, appreciate it, guys.
All right, thanks for the call, man. Let's go to AJ Cruz, one of our great callers. AJ is in Livermore. AJ, big Niner win, man. You're on the Sports Leader.
Hey, JD, Coach, what's up?
What's up, AJ?
My God, hey, all I got to say is this. Look, I feel like a couple years ago in the NFC title game when we lost Brock, we were robbed of opportunity to see, like what we could really do against them. Now, I'm not saying we win that game, but, who knows? Maybe we do, but they didn't really get a good look at us, our full strength, and then when we played them like later on in the season, a year or so later,
42-19.
Yeah, we took them to the woodshed and we pretty much ruined their season. They stayed there for the next several games. So now that we face them again in the playoffs, we're even more diminished than we were last time. But we still pulled out this win. So you know what? I'm just from a petty perspective, I'm glad. I don't like these guys. I don't like the Rams. I don't like Seattle. But God, I can't stand Philly because I feel like they didn't deserve it then. And last year, they were a different team, but this year, they are different, and so are we. And dang it, I can just say that I had little expectations for my team this year because I wanted to be surprised and I wanted to enjoy the wins. And right now, I'm super proud. So no matter what happens next week, I got what I wanted, and that was to knock Philly out. Take care, brothers. Go Niners.
Appreciate the call, AJ. I mean, he's right, dude. I mean, it's funny how the expectations have been so up and down and changed all year. There was so much unknown coming in. Like, would McCaffrey even be healthy enough to get through the season? What would they do with all these rookies they've got? And they've turned this thing around, and they've immediately found some success in some major down-the-stretch, bright light moments for some of these young guys. Joe is in Manteca. What's up, Joe? You're on the Sports Leader. Niners are off to Seattle to take on the Seahawks in the divisional round. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How are you guys doing? You guys flying high right now, too?
Feeling pretty good, man. I mean, I felt okay coming into this, but throughout the game, when it was 16-10, I just didn't feel the offense was doing enough, and they weren't to that point to feel like they were going to turn things around, but they did. And found some success.
You know what, man? Like, you hear the crickets out there. I heard people going off saying to sit Brock at one point.
Yep.
But Brock can't control the fact that the run game couldn't get going. Play action wasn't there. They had him in a 3-step drop the whole game. And it was tough, man. He had to do what he had to do, and he made some poor decisions going to Tonjes with Quinyon Mitchell, who was a step ahead.
Yep.
But you know what? At the end of the day, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And the Niners went into the link against the nastiest fan base, and they were Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, and they, woo! It's on to the divisional, baby, and I can't wait to call in tomorrow. Things are looking up right now, man.
All right, Joe, we'll talk to you tomorrow, bro. Give us a call tomorrow. I want to hear more of your Ric Flair wooing, dude, as the Niners get a win 23-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt in San Francisco, Edgar in New Jersey, Elijah in Sonora, Mary in Petaluma. We'll get to more of your calls as the Niners get a victory. Everybody's feeling good, but then we come back to reality and we remember what happened with George Kittle today. Going to be an uphill battle like it has been all season long. They lose Kittle, but they get a W. The Niners are on to the divisional round. More to come on the Sports Leader.
Brock Purdy under center. He's got Christian McCaffrey behind him. Sky Moore in motion. It's a trick play. They give it to Moore. Now flip to Juwan Jennings, end around. Jennings throws it to McCaffrey, and he's got it! McCaffrey caught it for the touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! What a throw by Juwan Jennings.
Juwan Jennings, his first touchdown pass as he threw one in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. He probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP had the Niners held on to win that one. Anyway, he moves on in this game, or helps the Niners move on in this game. Throws a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey on an end-around reverse play that results in a touchdown pass, 29 yards from Juwan Jennings to McCaffrey, his first touchdown reception of the game, and then he had another one later in the quarter to help the Niners put this one away. We'll make that the drive of the game, which is, of course, sponsored, JD. The drive of the game is sponsored by El Cerrito Honda. More than just a car dealership, we're family. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you as the Niners get a win. I mean, one of the great plays and something they needed. They needed something to ignite them. You talked about, JD, there was a lack of momentum throughout this game, and that was something that for the first time all game, not only did they take the lead, it felt like Philadelphia is not doing enough, and even with favorable field position, even with penalties on a 15-yard unsportsmanlike hit late from Marquise Siegel on a punt from earlier in the game that went 25 yards and then a bad bounce helped them with field position in Niner territory. Philly didn't seem like they could do enough offensively that once the Niners got the lead, I felt pretty damn good about them holding on to it, considering the way that Philly had played in the second half. Again, they could not run the ball nearly at the same clip they did in the first half. So that's the drive of the game. Also the play that I think ignited this team to victory.
No doubt. And it's funny, you said 16-10, you weren't feeling great about where it was. I actually thought if they could make the one play, they had the game. And the one play was the trick play and Jennings hitting McCaffrey at that point. And again, we'd be having a different conversation if the Niners don't immediately answer after the Brock Purdy interception, because he basically gave, and he kind of skates tonight because the 49ers got the win, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
But, that was a momentum-shifting play in the wrong direction when the Eagles really had no life and were basically dead in the water. But, again, Brock's ability to bounce back off of the mistakes, I think, is what makes him impressive. Rarely has two bad games in a row, and he is and has shown an ability throughout his career to put bad throws and bad possessions behind him and be able to bounce back and lead his team, and that's exactly what he did. 808
KNBR is the number to call and to text. Let's go out to the phone lines. Matt is in San Francisco. What's up, Matt? You're on the Sports Leader. Niners get a victory.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. Appreciate all you do every day in pre- and post-game.
Appreciate you, bro.
Really too bad that they do not do Coach of the Year voting, in the playoffs. I know Ben Johnson had a good night last night, but, man, Kyle, Coach of the Year. I mean, what a game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any evidence you need, it's what this team has done with the personnel. I mean, anybody who's looked at the Niners for the last few years, Matt, I think from a national perspective and maybe just casually would look at them and go, oh, man, Niners got good again. They had a down year last year, and they bounced back after the Super Bowl loss. But when you pour over this team throughout the season, you really do understand that this is, I think, far and away the best coaching job that both Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh have ever done.
Yeah, and I think, nationally, especially with the lack of fourth quarter comebacks, there's kind of a narrative that the Niners need a game script to go a certain way, or they're kind of front runners. I think this season, no matter how it ends, just with the adversity they faced, I think it's an incredible springboard into the future for them, just being a resilient team, being able to take those punches. And, I just really think that this season is an incredible springboard to kind of changing the narrative around that. Thank you, guys. Go Niners.
Appreciate the call, Matt. Yeah, bad day for Kyle Shanahan haters. Let's go to our guy, Edgar in New Jersey, the power of the flamethrower. Edgar's got to be feeling good. What's up, bro? You're on the Sports Leader.
Oh, man. I can't keep predicting this stuff,
You did call the win on Dirty Work this week. I think you had it a little bit bigger, but you did call the victory.
Yeah, it was 35-17.
That's right.
Yeah, I thought it was going to smoke them out the building. Hey, man, defense win championships, right? That's what they always say.
Oh, the
defense.
Eagles? Yeah.
No. What?
Wait, the fans win championships?
No,
defense. I got you.
He's giving the Niners defense credit.
I'm
just giving the Niners defense credit.
Yeah. Did I say it wrong? I'm sorry.
I misheard you. That's my fault.
No. You're good.
Yeah. Look who showed up. Man, Brock wasn't enough, so we had the Jennings to plug in plays. Man, Shanahan, he was saving that one. Perfect play at the perfect time. Here we are again. Let's go to Seattle. We like beating birds, so let's do 2 in a row. Eagles wounded, duck. What are we going to call the Seahawks? We'll keep it clean tonight.
Yeah. Let's celebrate this one. Edgar, we'll celebrate this one, but I need a prediction from you again later this week, all right?
Yes, sir.
Save it up. We'll get it to you next week. Appreciate the call, Edgar. Thanks so much. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. Edgar's one of my favorites, dude. He did call it. He did call it earlier this week, said the Niners were going to roll in there. He did think Purdy was going to have a bigger day. This is one of the best pass defenses in all of football, though. One of the top, if not the top, pass defense in football. The Niners didn't look great on the ground, didn't look great through the air in the first half, and they whipped out, as he said, at the right time, Kyle Shanahan, the brilliant play call, and Clay Kubiak, I should say, is the one who said to Kyle, hey, maybe it's time we go to that play, and it worked out. They were on the right hash, and it all played to their favor. The Niners going to win 23-19. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. When we come on back, we'll get ready to sign off here and get you back over to some Sunday Night Football where the Chargers are playing the New England Patriots. It's 6-3 Pats over the Chargers right now in the 2-7 game over in the AFC. We'll get signed off here next, only here on the Sports Leader.
Goddard and Brown to the right, Dotson and Smith to the left, and Barkley beside Hurts.
49ers showing heavy pressure. Let's see if they peel out.
They back out. Hurts shotgun snap. Hurts steps up middle. Knocked away by Eric Kendricks. The 49ers take over on downs. Do you believe in this team? What a play. The defense asked time and time again. 2 interceptions thrown by the 49ers. George Kittle's devastating injury in the second quarter, and now the offense comes out on the field, and they can put this thing away here in Philly.
That's what it sounded like as the Niners got off the field again on 4th down against Philadelphia in this one. Philly did not have a good second half. They faced a lot of long third downs. Niners ended up outgaining them in total yards, even though they They got blown out in time of possession. They got outrun 140-75 in this one on the ground. But it was a tough second half for Jalen Hurts, who started 11 of 16 in the first half for 93 yards. And in the second half, he went just 9 of 19 for 75 yards as the Niners pull away and get a victory 23-19. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. A couple of quick notes here as we await the scheduled time and day of that game next week. This week, I should say, later this week in Seattle. It'll either be, we assume, the Saturday night 5 o'clock game. It could be Sunday, but those two games on Sunday are scheduled for 10 a.m. Pacific, and so they wouldn't. Go ahead,
noon.
JD.
No.
Pacific.
They're noon. The games Sunday are noon Pacific.
So that would be that'd be too early for the Niners. So potentially a 3:30 Pacific kick on Sunday if they are in fact playing in the Sunday afternoon game. The other note here, as people have been texting in, and I got a couple of texts of people asking me about whether or not we think Fred Warner will be eligible to return. There was that report last week from Matt Barrows. He said that he was told that Fred Warner was telling teammates that if the Niners got to the divisional round, he may be able to return. Initially, the thought was NFC Championship. Nick Wagner of ESPN reported after the game, although Fred Warner did some stuff on the side practice field last week, the hope remains that a return for the NFC Championship game at the earliest if they advance. Of course, asked if San Francisco could open Warner's window this week, Kyle Shanahan said the chances are, quote, not very high. So unlikely that he would have the practice window open this week, especially if the game ends up being on a Saturday. I would say that is almost assuredly a no for divisional weekend.
It's felt to me as if the championship game would be the absolute earliest that he'd have the potential to come back. And I also think it's been, from what I've heard, it's not like he's going to be able to come back and be Fred Warner. Like, he may be able to come back and kind of inspirationally be able to get out there for a few plays and maybe help the team along the way. It's not as if he'd be able to come back and basically be playing, 60, 75 snaps a game as the Mike linebacker.
And just one more fun quick note here from Josh Dubow of the AP. Always has great notes and stats. He put one out here and says, Juwan Jennings in the playoffs, touchdown passes in his career, he now has 2. He had that one in the Super Bowl and that one today. Touchdown passes in the playoffs for the Raiders since the start of the 2003 season. Oh, man. Also 2. So there you go. Juwan Jennings matching the Raider playoff touchdown pass total since the start of 2003. That's going to do it for us on the 49er postgame show, but it's not going to do it for the 2025 season, as JD and I will return with you next week in Seattle, getting ready for the Niners and the Seahawks, whether that's Saturday or Sunday. We should find that out tonight, would be my guess. Once this game goes final, they'll have it lined up based on what the matchup will potentially be in the AFC side of things for next week. We know the Niners are going to Seattle. We know the Rams are going to Chicago, and we await what happens with the Chargers and the Patriots, and then tomorrow night, of course, with the Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks to everybody who was a part of our pre- and post-game show, and especially the guys behind the scenes, Kyle Haar, who ran the board for us pre- and post-game. Anthony Garcia does a lot of our sound editing, as well as Chips McCarthy. And, of course, our producer, pre- and post-game, Tim Webb. Thanks to our guy, Todd Husack, who stopped by the post-game show. I'll be back with you tomorrow, 2 o'clock with Derek Papa for a new week, a fresh week of Dirty Work from 2 to 6. Make sure you stay tuned all week to JD chiming in on all the shows, and, of course, on Dubs OT immediately following Warriors basketball all week long. And then, JD, we ain't finished, man. I'll see you in Seattle for divisional weekend.
Looking forward to it. We'll continue this thing. We had a great weekend to begin the season in Seattle.
We did week 1.
We'll get another one that won't be the final one. We're going to keep this thing rolling, brother.
We don't want to bookend the season with it. We want to just keep things rolling through Seattle on the way potentially to LA or Chicago. All right, stay tuned right here. We'll throw you over, I believe, to Sunday Night Football between the Chargers and the Patriots in the wild card round on the AFC side of things. Murph and Marcus tomorrow at 6 a.m. But we got more 49er football to look forward to as the Niners beat the Philadelphia Eagles wild card weekend 23-19. The sports continue only here on The Sports Leader.